Hello everyone, I'm Ishwar and I've got Vivek with us today. What a journey it has been with him. So he's the boy who's converted IIM Ahmedabad, and I would like to congratulate Vivek on the behalf of Hitbullseye and everyone at Hitbullseye. So Vivek, welcome, and how do you feel right now?
So feeling a little surreal, and I think it will take time for the feelings to seep down. But I've been feeling very happy for the past one day, and I like to thank the Hit Bullseye team too. It was of immense help in my GDPI preparation, and just feeling really good.
So what was that one particular strategy, one particular point you always kept intact while preparing for the CAT exam?
So I think consistent efforts. I tried to put in around 6 to 8 hours of study hours daily, and I started the prep in August. And fortunately, in 3.5 years months, I was able to do good both in INMAT as well as CAT. So consistent efforts.
So overall, can you give me one word for your CAT preparation?
Consistency and honest efforts.
And if I ask you that, mock tests, love or hate?
So they are a necessary evil because at times I did not get good scores in mocks. Right. So I used to feel maybe if that reciprocates in the CAT, how will things go? However, they are important because the time frame and how to manage time, you learn it through mocks only.
Lovely, great. And what about the interviews or the written exams? What was tougher?
So I think the interviews were a little tougher because a lot is subjectivity and different panels have different expectations from you. Right. So you should be able to gauge and you have to present genuinity, but at the same time you have to answer it in a way that they consider you an apt choice for their particular college.
So that makes me, in a position where I must ask you that how many mocks have you taken, right?
So for interviews?
For the interviews and for the preparation for the test?
So for the preparation, around 30 CAT papers and around 15 NMAT papers. Mm-hmm. And for particularly the interview sessions, I attended the boot camp wherein we got 2 interviews as well. Apart from that, around 15 individual one-to-one mock sessions.
Right. So I must say that your preparation time was quite rigorous, isn't it? Can you please rate for me your sleep, your food, and your preparation?
So sleep is something I was not able to control. So 8 hours of sleep I definitely took, and food was also a light food cooked by my mother, and study hours 6 to 8 hours I used to put in 2 hours for coaching and then myself study. It also included 2 hours of mock preparation. Right. So I started giving it in September, October onwards. Mm-hmm. So this is how the schedule has been.
And during your exam, you might have taken different exams other than the CAT exam. So what was your ritual before the exam and at the exam place?
So although we are not allowed to write anything on the question paper, but on the rough sheet that we got, I used to draw a dot representing infinity, as well as it's a symbol of shivling, as well as a car. So it says that all the infinite energies, they get submerged into that one single dot. So that was what I usually used to do.
Amazing, right. So Vivek, who was the first person you told your result?
So my mother, I called her, but she did not pick it. So she was on a walk. So after 10 minutes, I talked to her. Then my father, and I shared with my friends afterwards.
What was your reaction the moment you got to know? So was it like you were expecting the result to be in your favor, or were you a little anxious when you got the mail? You got the mail to know about your result, isn't it?
Yes.
Right.
So I was definitely a little anxious. The interview had gone well, but you cannot really expect because at times what according to you might have gone a very well interview, the panel may think otherwise. Right. However, when the result came, when I checked it, so I had to check it twice, thrice to see whether I've been selected or not, because it's only a word of not and yes, selected. So I got a little emotional because the journey has successfully ended on a very positive note. And so I'm just trying to come up to the terms that now I'll be able to get an opportunity to study in the top institute of the country.
Right. Vivek, can you just recall one probably stressful or maybe one funny moment from your interviews? You might have taken a lot of mocks and the real interviews. If you can recall any one with us, which can really help the buddy or aspirants.
So the funny interview was that in SP Jan interview of group interviews, so the interview was more or less complete, and the panel asked us that if is something what we should ask you more, or any topic we you want to discuss about. So I was fully prepared with Harry Potter. So I asked them that if we can have a discussion on that, if everybody had seen the series. So they asked me that you are the sorting hat, and you have to basically sort all the three professor, the panelists, into one or the other houses.
Right.
So I did not have the option of Slytherin, because otherwise I would have got outrightly rejected. So that was the funny moment. So the environment became very positive, very light, and I think I scored really good in that round. And the stressful part was in IIM Ahmedabad, wherein the panelists were continuously looking with eyes as if I'm making big mistakes, and they asked me direct to direct 8 mathematics questions, and it was not my strong areas, despite telling them that I have been a humanities student right from class 11, 12th and graduation. But they were consistently asking, they were confirming from me, you are a humanities student, and then again the next question would be of a mathematics. So I had to say no 2-3 times, and so the interview ended on for me, not a very positive note, but I think it was more of a stressful activity that they were trying to do with me.
Right, right. So we can always say that what ends well is well, actually, isn't it? So during your interview preparations, the mocks which you've taken, was any such suggestion, anything which you kept in mind to replicate that or put that into use while having the real interviews?
In the interview.
During the mock interviews, what was that?
Firstly, I think you ought to know what are your strengths and what are your weaknesses, and then strongly work on those activities. And also, the mentor that you get is very, very important, because you have to follow their advices. But at the same time, when you take advices from 2-3 people, they may be different. So it is you who have to decide that how and what changes you want to bring, because personality changes cannot come in just one day. So important changes that you can do is very important. For example, mine was I was speaking very fast at times. So the teachers told me that I have to take a pause. Even if you know the answer, you have to take maybe a 5-second or a 10-second pause after every question, so that you do not seem to be a person who is very, very anxious to answer it. So the responses from the faculty, you have to put it into action. So that is going to help you in the final interview as well.
Right. So what's your takeaway from the mocks which you would like to give to the aspirants today?
The first is give as many mocks as possible, at least 10 to 15 mocks, and if possible from various faculties. And after a point when you think that now things are more or less good, then you can think of either avoiding it or reduce the number. For example, my strategy was that for every college I used to attempt at least 3 to 4 interviews. For Ahmedabad, definitely I did more. I was very fortunate to be mentored by Ishwar sir, so he really helped me in that regard. And so see your 10 to 15 interviews, and then what are the areas that you work upon, and make sure that in the mock, the CV or the form that you have filled, be very, very thorough with each and every word. For example, even if you have written that you have studied from a particular university, be known about who is the current vice chancellor. So these small things, what brand suit you are wearing, so who is the owner of it, which brand it is. So you should be very, very thorough about that.
Right. Vivek, what would you like to suggest to those people who still have 6 months or 8 months time in their hand? So what should be the ideal day routine? How much time, and what should be the exposure towards general knowledge? Because I think that many of the aspirants, they think that okay, we may manage to get 99.9 percentile and we are through with the interviews, everything, and we'll get into the dream college. So is that true?
So definitely a good score does help you out. However, along with that, a big part is of the interview and your profile. However, the profile you cannot change. So what is in your hand is scoring a really good score. And secondly, making yourself very good personality wise, so that you are able to score decent marks in the interview and you get selected. For that, as you said, what we can do is a normal reading of the newspaper on daily basis does help. At least you are familiar with what is happening around the world, and it may also help in increasing your vocabulary. Apart from that, for the preparation thing, I can suggest is that please first start doing the CAT official papers, that is 2024 and 2023, at least 2 3, and then see what are your strong areas. For example, for some it may be quants, for some it may be VLR, and afterwards then accordingly strategize. So how much time you have to give for quants, how much time you have to give for the LRDI section, or if somebody is weak in the English portion, so accordingly either you want to take coaching or you want to do self efforts, it's upon you. But firstly you have to see and accordingly divide the time.
And would you suggest the candidates to be a lark or an owl?
So that's a very personal choice, but make sure that before the exam, because the exam will be held in 3 shifts, so be prepared and give the mocks in all the 3 shifts, so that we are prepared that whatever be our shift, we are fully aware and fully agile, and we are able to produce our best efforts on the day.
Right. So remember, candidates, there is no CAT exam happening in the middle of the night, 12:30 or 1 o'clock. Right? So it's good to sit at that point of time when you are going to have your exams at actual time. So that's the key, I think.
Yes,
isn't it?
definitely.
Right. So what next, Vivek? What do you think? After MBA, where do you see? What do you think that, where will you go after this?
So I would love to work in the consultancy sector, and if a role which helps me either into the government public policy or maybe in the rural development sector, these 2 areas really fascinate me, and if given an opportunity I would love to work in those areas.
Right. So Vivek, before I take you to a fun side of the questions, the last question which I would like to ask you is, what would you tell the aspirants who come from little mediocre preparation, or somebody who's from a small town, that what are the 3 key elements in the preparation time? Is it the time? Is it the knowledge of the subject? Or is it the consistency? Or anything from your side? What do you like to suggest?
So I started preparing from August 1, and so I prepared around 3 or 4 months, and I was not the strongest in quants. However, I knew that that is one area that is going to pinch me, so I increased the number of hours in quants, and English was one of my strongest area. However, the score did not come very positive, so you have to have a decent knowledge in all the 3 aspects. But considering that, for example, if you're really weak in English, so you need to put in more hours. So what you can do is, there is a book called Word Pass Made Easy, or newspapers really do help. Give more and more mocks, especially catering to the VLR section, and similarly for the quants or the LRD. I think just do not fear, and please do not leave any particular section, because what may happen is, for example, this year the paper was on the easier side, so students were able to score really well in the LRDI section. However, if you have totally left it out that I'll not be attempting it, so that will be a very wrong thing to do. So the strategy would be, see what are your strengths, what are your weaknesses, and accordingly make it a personalized approach, and just do not follow any herd thing.
Right, great. Right, so Vivek, I'm going to speak a sentence. I'm going to say a sentence. I'll leave it incomplete, right? And you need to complete it. All right. My first sentence is, CAT prep felt like.
It was a roller coaster and a very new experience, to be honest.
The funniest moment during my mock interview was?
So I think that happened in the SPJMIR thing only, wherein we were asked about the Harry Potter thing. So it was not something I expected.
Right. The biggest thing you're expecting from IIMs?
So I think the experience and the transformation that it will bring in me. So.
Okay. And the number of girlfriends I'm going to have in IIM Ahmedabad?
0.
But why so, Vivek?
Uh,
You're a handsome person. You've got a great personality and a presentation.
So I think there should be an option of pass also. So for this question, I think I'll take pass.
Or maybe you already have. Few. So Vivek, I have a question. You're from the humanities background, right? So it is generally believed that people from the B.Tech background, people from the tech background, they always do well in their CAT written exam. So how did you manage very well?
Sir, I think it is true that because they are more or less aware and they are continuously doing the mathematical part for quite some period. For humanities, I think for majority of the students, the last class we studied mathematics in was in class 10. However, what you can do is you can start with the paper, giving the official mock, and see what are your strengths. For me, I think it was my English section, the VLR, and then was the reasoning, and the last was quants. However, in quants, some areas I was very comfortable with. For example, in algebra or a number system, areas like probability and permutation and combination was something I really dreaded. So what I did was I tried to maximize my score in the easy portions of every topic. So one thing I made sure that I'll not be leaving any particular topic, but I used to focus on the easier questions. So for example, in quants, I attempted only 9 questions. However, I was fortunate to get all 9 correct, so I got a score of 27 raw. So it helped me 97 percentile in quants. So I think that would be my guidance thing, that try to focus on the easier portions and try to solve as many questions as possible, and then go to the tough ones, but please do not leave anything of any particular topic. In the VLR section also, my strategy was to attempt as many questions as possible, but you have to see for yourself how you do that. For some it may be accuracy more and less number of attempts. For me it worked like I have to attempt more and only then I'll be able to get a good thing. For LRDI 2, I think practice and practice, at least try to solve 3 to 4 sets on a daily basis, and try to see that, for example, arrangement sets are usually considered easy. So I used to try that if a set has come from that section, I used to attempt that first and accordingly the other ones.
Vivek, one more question I have for you. Generally, people think that if they are pretty good at academics in their high school or probably during their graduation years, they may not need to prepare for the CAT written exam. So, what do you think when there is a coaching available, when there is a mentoring available, is it good to take that, or you think that self preparation is more than enough?
So I think it's a very subjective thing. For me, I personally definitely took coaching in the offline format because I felt that the kind of the environment you get, as well as the personalized, like you can go to the teacher and get your doubts solved, and a small peer group also gets formed. However, there may be some limitations. Example, somebody may be working, so he may opt for an online thing, and also some people are really comfortable in cracking competitive exam, so with a small amount of preparation they are able to do good. So have been cases where students just prepared for maybe 5-10 days and they scored really well. However, these things are really exceptions only, so they cannot be made normalized. What you have to see is give mocks, see for yourself where you are standing, and accordingly, if you can afford, you can take a coaching, and if not, there are good sources online available for free on YouTube and other sources, so you can take best usage of that, and I think so that would be
Right. All right, great. So it is very nice talking to you, Vivek. So my best wishes are always with you, and I hope that you grab the kind of opportunities in your life and whatever your future endeavors are. My best wishes are with you, and we at Hitbullseye are always here for your guidance, for your help all the time. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
Right.